All right, fantastic. Here we are again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us at the Technology Zone. I'm pretty excited. This is the second installation of the show. If you didn't have an opportunity to see us last week, you can actually do that. Some people were calling. They were saying, hey, I heard you talking about an on-demand feature. We don't know how to get to that, so I do apologize. I wasn't explicit enough in my instruction as to how to find that area on the website. So what you'll want to do is you can go to www.ItsWebTV.com. Once you get there, you should see some tabs towards the top of the website. You'll see 3 tabs. The tab that you'll check out, take a look at our show, is going to be under the Information tab. Okay, so if you go to www.ItsWebTV.com, click Information, because that's the that's the category we're under. Once you do that, you should see a couple of different links there, or icons. And you click the icon for the Technology Zone, and you can watch last week's broadcast. Okay? So, and again, I do apologize for not providing that information right away. Anyways, again, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Last week, if you tuned into the show, you saw that we had a colleague of mine, very bright, intelligent individual, one of the owners of ItsWebTV.Com, Mr. Terrence Willis. We talked a little bit about, well, actually, we talked in depth about cloud-based technology, how it's being used, how they're implementing it in their business, companies that are benefiting from it, and pretty much how technology is leaning itself in that direction. So we do thank Mr. Willis for joining us last week. I actually have a guest this week, too. He's going to be joining us in about another 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, Mr. Richard Vincent, and he is also from ItsWebTV.com. He is not the other owner, but he is going to be joining us today. He's got some great information to share. We're going to be talking about the future of IT, how it's being worked out in the enterprise and things of that nature. So it's going to be a great topic. So definitely stick around. We're going to be having, and another guest is going to join us today. So we have another guest who's going to be talking about graphic design and things of that nature. So we're going to have an interesting show today, full of information, full of knowledge. So it's going to be great. I wanted to reverse just a little bit. On the last show, we talked a little bit about where the jobs were, and I didn't elaborate on that. I said I would cover some of that information. So what I want to do before we get into today's topic, I want to direct you to our website. If you are on a computer right now, of course you are. If you're watching, you'll want to go to www.impactstrategies.biz. Again, that's www.impactstrategies.biz. Now, on the website, you can also do a Facebook blog there if you click the Technology Zone link. Okay, if you click that tab. If you click that tab, you're able to blog as well. But what I wanted you to pay close attention to is there's a tab there that covers some of the technology that we're going to be talking about. That's why I want to guide you to the website, because it's going to talk in depth and show you a breakdown of some of these technologies that we're talking about, how you can gain certification in these areas. Take some classes. You can take them, of course, at Impact Strategies. You can do it online, do an instructor-led, or again, you can do that online. And I think it's important, too. It's one of the reasons why we're doing the show, is to expose, our listeners and our viewers to this kind of technology. Folks who are looking to retool. Maybe they're interested in IT and they don't know where to go. They don't know what's hot. They want to know what's evolving. Where's the emerging technology? So on the website, you'll see information pertaining to that. If you go to the courses link and some of the video tutorial link, you'll see some in-depth information about what these technologies are, how to gain certification, what kind of certifications you need, and so it's pretty in-depth. So if you have any questions about that and you're watching, please give us a call. That number is 248-996 9854. Again, 8954. 248-996-8954. Okay, folks. Well, what I want to talk about today again is the future of IT. Talked about what's the future of technology in the past couple of years. Things have changed so much. How's it impacting you? If you're a person tuning in and you work for a company that's using advanced technology, how is this technology going to impact your business? We'll be talking about some of these things to look forward to in the future. I've got a couple little things that I found were really interesting. We're not going to go in depth into that, but just to kind of wet your palate a little bit. Tell me what you think. If you have any questions or concerns about this, I wrote down a couple things. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of augmented reality. Who knows what that is? AR. Who is familiar with augmented reality? There's a neat little website that kind of forecasts a lot of things that are going to be coming down the pipeline. Actually, things that are being implemented right now that they're researching. I was looking at something else, and it was talking about how what's going to be happening with your browser. Once you're on the internet, it's going to be a device that's going to track, how you're looking, where you're looking at on your browser, what items on the web page you're looking at, and that's all going to be done in the reason for just understanding your habits. Are you looking more towards the left side? Are they designing websites? Maybe they should put marketing information in certain areas on the screen. So that's something that's going to be coming down the pipeline. What do you think about that information that can track how you're looking at your screen? It had something else too. It was talking about the cars. Now there's a Google car actually that's being designed that can pretty much drive itself almost, but that's what it's coming down to. I know that's pretty much some information we're not going to go in depth in, but I just kind of again want to wet your palates to see what do you think about those things. Is that kind of invasive? The AR where it tracks how you're looking at websites and what you're looking at and where and how this. I don't know. Some people think that's kind of invasive. So tell me what you think about that. If you want to give us a call, 248-996-8954. Okay. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit and talk about some other things that we started last week. We didn't finish elaborating on those things. We were talking about cloud-based technology. Okay, this is going to kind of segue into our topic today. Again, I told you we had another guest joining us, Mr. Richard Vincent from ItsWebTV.Com. We'll be up in about 10 more minutes, and we'll have another esteemed guest following us too. But we were talking about cloud-based technology. I wanted to get your ideas on that. Again, if you're out there and you're a novice to computers, you don't know much about these topics, you want to know more, give us a call. If you are an expert in this area and you have some information to share, again, please feel free to give us a call. That number again is 248-996-8954. What I wanted to do actually, I do have my guest here. I do want to introduce him because he's got some great stuff, he's prepared for us. So what I'd like to do is maybe take a quick break, about 30 seconds to a minute, just have him mic'd up, get ready to go, and then we'll get started, as if you don't mind. Okay, so we'll be right back. Please stay tuned in 1 minute. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back again to the Technology Zone. If you haven't already, if you haven't gotten the number, I want you to go ahead and write that down. If you got friends out there that you want to tune in to this, please give them the website, www.ItsWebTV.com, and this is the Technology Zone. If you have any questions or any comments, anything you want to share, your expertise and whatnot, please feel free to give us a call at 248-996-8954. Okay, I told you I had a guest that will be joining us, my friend and colleague, Mr. Richard Vincent. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing excellent, Rob.
All right. I'm glad you made it. Glad you showed up. So we were talking earlier about, some things that I know you may want to share. We were talking about the future of technology, where it's going, how it's going to impact the consumer, how it's going to impact the IT professional, as far as maybe getting geared up for certifications, making sure that they're marketable for these jobs that are coming down the pipeline, how IT, the future of it, how it's going to impact, the different businesses, small businesses and large businesses that are going to be migrating to other methodologies or other protocols. Okay, so like I said, I know you had some stuff you wanted to share, but let's start off at tell us a little bit about yourself. We know that you work at ItsWebTV.Com. What do you do there?
Okay, well, yeah, I do work at ItsWebTV.com. My official title is the Technical Services Director, so I'm pretty much over making sure things get done in terms of service delivery. If a product or solution is sold, it's my job. If we're on the implementation side of that particular sale, it's my job to make sure that implementation goes well. I'm also in charge of the engineering of the solutions that we sell. So making sure that if a salesperson sells something and they tell an organization or an individual that this particular product or solution can do something, it's my job to make sure that it actually indeed can do what it was expected to do.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I do for ICT.com.
Okay. Now, when you were talking about like a solution, give me an example. I mean, I don't know if you can tell us who maybe one of your clients are, but give me an example of, let's say, one of the main services that you provide to one of the your consumers or your clients, and how you help to implement that. Like, what would that be?
Well, we're an IT company that provides a broad range of information technology services. Up until about a year ago, we pretty much serviced all industries and verticals. And about a year ago, we made the decision to focus on education K-12. Okay. So right now, our typical customer is a educational institution that teaches students anywhere between kindergarten and 12th grade. That's who we service, and so the type of products and services that we sell are geared for that, what we call vertical. We sell anything from traditional PCs to cell phones to servers to services, and also we provide services in terms of staff and personnel that can go in and either implement or maintain or repair particular products and solutions.
Okay.
Our business is broken down between what we call our divisions. So our primary division is computer networking, so that's servers, computers, networking, routers, and switches. Then we got telecommunications, so that's phone systems, PBX, voice over IP.
Right.
That's also video distance conferencing and learning solutions. And then we also have infrastructure cabling, of course, so we pull the cabling that makes up your network. Then we also have a division that's what we call system engineering. So we go in and do the application development, website development or application modification. So if you want to roll out Salesforce, then we'll go in and our team will tailor make Salesforce to fit a particular organizational need. And,
Okay.
as an example. Then we also have a audio-visual division that goes in and handles organizations' audio-visual needs. So if they need, projectors set up, flat panel digital signage set up, those types of things, we handle those. We provide that type of service as well.
Okay.
And all of those services are really a good fit for schools, and
Yeah.
those types of services we provide to the schools that we service.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So it sounds like you guys, sounds like you offer a wide, variety, not just one type of service, but it sounds like you have an entire package, a whole solution, for any type of IT infrastructure, whether it's setting it up or whether it's helping to maintain or service, or consulting on perhaps what type. Like you said, you do networking too, and I know there's different type of topographies. So, do you also consult with these different organizations as to the best way to design? Do you help design these things too, or is that something that they would go outside of your organization to do?
We do aid in the engineering and the consultation on the best practices for IT, and for instance, a school. We basically can consult to a school, let them know what it is that they need to get, and then also have the position that we can sell it to them. Now,
Right.
our value add proposition, if you will, I don't know if I necessarily like that term, but I'll use it here. Our value add proposition is that we're partnered with everybody. We're a Cisco partner. We're a Microsoft partner. We're a
guys are Google
partner.
partners, yeah.
We're pretty. If they sell IT products, then they're on our radar. That if we aren't already partnered with them, we will partner with them, because what we like to provide to our customers is a agnostic approach to the products that they need. So we're not selling anything just because we're a Cisco partner. If our Cisco account manager is watching this now, sorry, but really we have to be agnostic of what products we sell, so that we make sure that we give the best product to our customer. And I'll give you an example. It's my belief, as we go out and sell to new customers, and as ItsWebTV.Com goes out and sells to current customers, to continue to provide for the IT needs. One thing that I find it hard to propose is on-premise server-based technology, just because, again, going back to cloud, a lot of times that's a better fit for the budgets, for the requirements, in terms of business requirements of the organization. And that's the sort of thing that we look at. What is an organizational's business requirements? What is their strategic goals? And how can our IT assist in those things? We don't want to just come in and provide the same old technology for technology's sake.
Right.
That a lot of organizations have nestled into. We purchased a server 15 years ago, so we just need to purchase another server. Well, no, you really don't. And you really don't need these things just for the sake of needing those things. Let's sit down and look at what you're trying to do. Are you trying to double your sales? What do you need? A customer relationship management software, and the best one out there is a cloud-based service called Salesforce. And so that's
A lot of people using Salesforce now. It's huge.
Folks,
Salesforce is huge right now.
They're what's called the 900-pound gorilla in the cloud-based compute or cloud-based application space. So with that being said, our value add proposition is we're not going to go in and say, oh, you need to buy a bunch of Cisco switches, or you need to buy a bunch of Microsoft software, or even you need to buy a bunch of Google licenses. We really want to take a look at what an organization's needs are and get them the best product that they need to get to meet their objectives.
Now, thinking about our topic today, the future of IT, and where things are going. Just 5 years ago, this whole concept was not as big as far as looking for cloud-based solutions for small businesses or large businesses, and it's starting to migrate to that. I mean, if you go on the internet and you look at just Google cloud services, you'll see a ton of companies who are investing in that. So I mean, so what is the future, and what does that look like for companies who still manufacture physical servers? I mean, what do you think 5 years from now that may look like? I mean, because things have changed and evolved so much. Every 2 to 3 years, if that, I mean, things are evolving. Technology is changing. So what do you think, and how do you think this is going to impact, maybe in a positive or a negative way? You can, choose whatever, aspect you want to elaborate on. But how do you think that this will affect companies who design these, the physical servers?
Well, the question being, how will it affect companies that manufacture and design and sell physical servers? They will be impacted. My prediction, or my belief, quite a bit. So you take your HP, who they manufacture servers. Cisco, they actually manufacture servers.
You were talking about the switches and
Dell. Yeah, you take all these guys that manufacture OEM servers and routers and switches, but let's isolate it to servers in particular. I believe that for those guys, there will have to be a change in their business model in the server game, because my belief is that 5 years from now, servers probably won't be on-premise servers will not be part of the IT conversation for small and medium-sized businesses. On-premise servers probably won't be part of the day-to-day IT discussion for education K-12. I don't believe. I believe that the cloud will become so pervasive that for small and medium-sized businesses, for education K-12, anything outside of enterprise and data center, server will not be part of the day-to-day discussion. Not on-prem servers.
Okay.
Now, servers will be part of the discussion again for enterprise and definitely for data center.
Right.
Somebody's going to have to, hold the cloud somewhere. The cloud has to be somewhere. So that place where the cloud is aggregated and provides service to these organizations, small and medium-sized businesses, schools, and other type of organizations, they will be purchasing plenty of servers, but it'll be a whole different business model. Gone will be the day if you own a real estate company, for instance, you won't need a server.
Right.
You don't need one right now. So 5 years from now, you definitely will not need one. More than likely, whoever your ISP is, your internet service provider is, they'll probably offer you a cloud-based server that you can just purchase as part of your internet subscription.
Right.
So the landscape is going to change, and the company that is not prepared to take that hit in terms of small and medium-sized business sales, like maybe a Dell or HP or Lenovo, they may find themselves in trouble. Now, I think that they're smart enough to know that the cloud is here, because the people that are building clouds have to purchase service from somewhere, and so they know that they're selling a lot of service to the data centers, a lot of service to enterprise. So hopefully they're making the adjustment, but the conversation of a server for a small and medium-sized business 5 years from now, Rob, I don't think will even happen.
Right. And that makes sense too. I mean, the way companies are just migrating now, like you're saying.
Yeah.
I know. I was talking to some folks on Twitter. And that's another thing I was going to say. You can follow us on Twitter if you're at my website and go to the Technology Zone tab. You should see some live feeds right there. I know I've been tweeting this subject the past couple days, getting folks excited about it. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check that out, www.impactstrategies.biz, and click on the Technology Zone tab, and you should see some tweets there. And the hashtag is, it's hashtag then Tech Zone Live. Again, hashtag Tech Zone Live, and you can tweet some information there. But I know I was talking to somebody the other day about this, cloud-based, and you were talking about how it's going to impact the enterprise. But I'm thinking, what about it being offered as like a utility? I think it's going to be something. I was just talking to somebody about that last night. This being offered, like you said, with a subscription, or maybe as just a service, that like your cell phone or something like that. There's going to be something. What do you think? You think it'd be something like that, to where it could be offered just as a separate entity?
I do, Rob, and honestly, I think that's kind of the nature of the cloud. It's the nature of the cloud is a utility-based service that's delivered via the internet. If you want to kind of break down what the cloud means, because it can be confusing at times. Somebody says the cloud. When I first started hearing about the cloud 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I say, hey, the cloud is just a new buzzword. It's a buzzword. I used to tell people this. Oh, the cloud is just a buzzword for the internet.
Right.
But now as time has progressed, and I've kind of gotten more in line with the cloud strategies that are out there, and help some organizations actually build cloud strategies inside their organization and outside the organization. I'm starting to see that the cloud is just more than a buzzword. Actually, the cloud is just what I just said. It's a way to deliver applications, or it's more of a philosophy of delivering application via the internet. So the internet is the pipeline, and the application is delivered over the internet to a customer on a utility basis. So it's an on-off type of situation.
Right.
It's very similar to, and it's actually, the cloud is not a new concept. The cloud kind of pulls some of its, has some of its roots in what we used to call timeshare.
Right.
Where a university would own a huge computer, nobody else in town owned one, and they only used it for 2 or 3 hours out the day.
Right.
So they would sell the rest of the time that computer was turned on to the public at large. You could purchase a terminal and pipe directly into it, or you could go to the university, sit down, and put your punch card in. But
I remember that.
You share, yeah.
At Wayne State. I remember that at Wayne State University.
Wayne State actually developed a whole business model around timeshare, and they did well with it.
You know how long ago that was? I think I'm not going to say how old I was, but I can remember that right around, had to have been in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right around the mid 80s or something like that.
Yeah, and around that time, that's about when the PC started coming to the forefront.
Right.
As a viable consumer piece of hardware, and then also started gaining some traction also in the enterprise, kind of in the 80s, and from there the rest is history. With the PC, became the PC era. But prior to that, if you needed compute power, you would have to go to an organization that could afford a computer that typically took up the size of a large room,
right?
And had to have people with white coats that monitored it and pampered it and babied it. And but again, that university would only need that computer for 4 or 3 hours out the day to crunch some numbers, run some reports,
right? And
they would sell the rest of that time to the public, in the timeshare model. Well, that is kind of where the cloud draws some of its roots, but actually the roots of the cloud actually go back way further than that. The cloud actually goes back, in my mind, to Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, who kind of fashioned a electricity grid to distribute electricity or electric power over the grid, so that organizations wouldn't have to generate their own power.
Right.
And his whole value add proposition at the time was, well, it'd be easier for me to hire physicists and electrical engineers and construction engineers and build this power distribution. It'd be far easier for me to do this than it would be for, a small organization to do so, like Wayne State or City of Detroit.
Right.
And so he set out to build an electric power distribution grid, and the rest is history. And his model was called economies of scale. Which says that I can do, if everyone would let me do it, I can do it for far cheaper than if everybody tried to do it.
Right.
Because this is my focus. I can go and hire the most brilliant physicist, electrical engineer in the country, whereas if you're a newspaper company or you're an automotive manufacturer, like in the case of Henry Ford, do you want to be in the business of generating power and also in the business of manufacturing cars? And so, the rest is history. Because now when we flip a light switch, the average person in this country has absolutely no idea where that power comes from.
Right.
And so, kind of to bring the conversation back home, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, who knows when, but it will come a time when you flip a switch, you're going to have compute power, and you'll have no idea where the processor is.
Right.
And actually, honestly, we already have that. That's the World Wide Web. And so now that's just going to, a more laser focus will be put on specific applications. Right now, some would say, well, I can't run Adobe Creative Suite over the cloud. Well, you can't right now, but with the inventions of HTML5 and, browser-based technologies, other browser-based technologies, browser-based applications are coming to their own and starting to rival what some would consider, applications that you traditionally install on your PC.
Right.
So again, I agree, Rob. The cloud is about utility. It's about on off, It's about not having to make the commitment to purchase servers and a whole bunch of PCs and all this stuff that is a cost, and it has to be managed. And why not let somebody else do that who has a better who has their core business is
Right.
managing servers and managing software and backing up servers. And an organization just focuses on their business.
And I think a lot of that's an excellent point, and I appreciate you sharing that information. And when you think about it, even from not just the logistics, but when you think about it, just from an economic standpoint, if you have that kind of protocol set in place, then as a business, you're going to save money anyways. You're going to save resources. You don't have to hire someone to try to maintain it. You don't have to hire folks to try to implement it if it's already done for you. And like you said, it's just a matter of on and off. If I can use that, it's already there. It's going to save you time and money. So it makes perfectly good sense. Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's in the IT realm, especially if you're an IT entrepreneur and you have a practice build, a consulting practice build, how many meetings have you sat down with business owners where you've taken an hour or two of their day? So let's say you have a real estate company or somebody who makes somebody who's a designer and makes wedding dresses. I've had these conversations. I've taken their time, prior to the emergence of the cloud, and and we sat there and I've with this highly value add individual to their business. So, in the case of a real estate company, I'm sitting there with the broker who has this advanced knowledge of real estate law, people management, and customer relationship management. He has a skill set. He or she has a skill set that is ideal and tuned and optimized for their business, and that's why they're doing well. But yet here they are sitting down with me, talking about servers and RAID 1 versus RAID 5, and and is that a value add to him or her?
Right.
It's not. It's now for me it's a value add, and the better I can relay the information to this business owner, the better I think I will do in business, and the better an IT professional will do in business. But at the end of the day, I have to really swallow that red pill, if you will, and say, this is not an ideal situation for this business owner. This business owner really could care less about technology. All he or she wants is for this stuff to work so that they can do their business. That's something Apple was great at. Apple focused on that. And when you turn the computer on, I can really get to what I want to do. I don't have to worry about device drivers. I don't have to worry about blue screens. I just turn it on. If I want to type a document, the document software more than likely is already on there. If I want to do this, it's already there. It's simple.
Right.
And so Apple took that intuitive approach to computing, which says that it should be intuitive and it also should be simple. The rest of technology, really not so much. It's been kind of a means to an end, if you will. And I think that paradigm's changing. I think that with the cloud being out there, it's going to be harder for IT professionals to sit down and justify things that just don't make sense, just because it historically has been getting done. There's going to be a lot of pushback of, why do I need a server? Why do I need a phone system?
Right.
Why do I need these things? You're trying to sell me this, but I'm struggling to figure out why, as a business owner, I need these things, because all I want to do is sell houses. And spending, $15,000 on a new phone system, I don't quite know how that's going to aid me in selling houses better when there's cloud-based solutions out there where I don't have to spend that much money, and I can put that money into the professional development of my staff.
Right.
So these are going to be the conversations, and this is kind of the, what computer network world called the coming IT apocalypse. The customer is just smarter, and they're saying, hey, I don't need these things that you're trying to sell me, so I'll gladly listen to a valid argument if you're trying to sell me stuff that I do need, like cloud-based services. Or if I really do need a server, if I'm in a business and I do need an on-prem server, then okay, but you're going to have to make the cost justification on that.
Right.
So.
And I think too, what's happening is also, when you think about developing relationships with clients and people who are wanting your services, these are things that they need to hear too, because you don't want to sit down and say, well, I want to look at the way that's going to make us the most money. That's not really building a relationship. If you have a service offer, and like you said, you you come to them and you can show them where they can save money.
Yes.
That's what, ultimately that's what a business wants to hear anyway, if they can save money. But if you can show them that you really don't need these things that you've been accustomed to, getting, like the servers and whatnot, if I have a solution for you that's going to ultimately save you money in the long run, I mean, you make out anyways, because now you've established trust, with them, and they're going to look at you for maybe some other service. And I know you've got some more stuff to share. I want to make sure we cover that, because I know it's on the tip of your tongue. We have another guest that's going to be joining us soon. I believe he was trying to get in touch with me. My phone is buzzing, so I need to make sure he's able to come in, folks. So we've got a great conversation going. We've got more to share. We'll be right back in about a minute or two. Stay tuned. If you have any questions, please feel free to join us. 248-996-8954. You're watching the Technology Zone. Right folks, thank you for tuning in again. If you're wanting to call us, you have some information to share or some questions that you'd like to ask, please feel free to do that at 248-996-8954. Okay, and you are watching the Technology Zone. Again, we're talking to Richard Vincent from ItsWebTV.Com, talking a little bit about cloud technology, the future of IT. a lot of information. This gentleman's got a lot in his head there. I know we're going to have him on the show again to kind of pick his brain on some other things. But I want to kind of start where we left off, and we were talking about, cloud-based technology, of course, implementation, how this is going to shape the future, some kind of things that we can expect, a couple years from now. And I know that you said that the clients that you service are K through 12. And when you think about cloud-based technology in learning, I know right now our organization, we do instructor-led training. We also do video training, and right now we're designing a platform for live web-based, because this is web-based, this is live, so we're designing a platform for live web-based training too, where folks aren't able to come to an instructor-led type of learning environment, that they can do this at their leisure, because people have different formats, people have different schedules, they always, they can't always make an instructor-led delivery. So with the K through 12 and with this kind of technology being utilized, how do you see that this will impact just the schools? I mean, do you think that in the future, maybe just how schools are formatted, how they're designed, there may not be a need for so many teachers instructing in a live instructor-led format? I mean, is that something that you think, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's some very exciting things happening with technology in relation to schools, and it's one of the things that kind of drive my passion. And there's some things that are happening right now as we speak. There's a organization here in the Detroit metro area called the Educational Achievement Authority. It's actually a statewide initiative started by Governor Rick Snyder that's headed by Dr. Covington of the EAA. And basically Dr. Covington's vision, him and his team, is to have a cloud-based educational content delivery system, so that instead of the traditional textbook, every student in their district would have a device that would have educational content and assessment delivered via that device via the cloud, via the internet. The benefit of that is that you can kind of see what's shaping up is a whole idea of the metrics and that are used to grade an individual child. And traditionally, let me say in our day, you had a report card, and that happened ever so often, once every 3 months, once every 4 months, however often it happened. You would get your report card, and you may get a progress note once every 2 weeks and once every month. Or
if you were like me, and sometimes we had those bad grades, you just told your hey, we didn't get a report card this time. You have to wait next 3 months later.
Or you go to Kinko's and you make your own report card. Not that I ever did that, in case my dad is looking, but but it was not very frequent that you got your report card. So let's look at that scenario really quick.
Yeah.
Rob, you get your report card, and it has some stuff on there that your parents like. It has some stuff on there that your parents don't like. So now your father looks at it and he makes corrective action. He puts the bill to you. He does whatever he needs to do to make a corrective action, and then he hopes that his corrective action, getting you a tutor and doing some things, will work, so that next report card marking, which is if it's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line, it either worked or it didn't work, and then he would have to take another corrective action if it didn't work.
Yeah, no more bills.
No more bills. Yeah, we can't.
Bringing back memories.
Well, that's a pretty slow feedback process.
Yeah.
If I'm a parent, I have to wait these long amount of times between report card markings to know whether my child is getting it or not getting it. Because ultimately, I guess maybe this is not conventional wisdom or in today's society, but ultimately the way I see it is that as a parent, it's my responsibility if my child is being educated.
Right.
It's not the teacher. It's not Dr. Covington. It's not Mr. Roy Roberts. Ultimately, it's my responsibility because the child was given to me. I have to make sure the child is educated. So I don't want to wait, 3 or 4 months between report card markings to see if my child is getting the lesson or not getting the lesson. Well, Dr. Covington over at EAA, with his, electronic delivery of all educational content and assessment, one of the things that can emerge from a platform like that is real-time feedback. So that if my child is on an electronic cloud-based system and he's being taught algebra and he's not getting it, then a lot of red flags can start going out, alerts can start going out. And, so I, personally envision a day where, based on systems like what EAA is putting together, a parent can look at his child's comprehension of educational content the same way I look at my stock screen. So I got a stock screen up, and I'm looking at my Google and Apple stock.
Right.
I'm also looking at whether my daughter is getting algebra and social studies. And I'm looking at this as a father, and if she didn't get algebra and social studies that day, I'm making corrective actions that day. I'm calling the teacher. I'm going and I'm pulling down educational content. If she's not getting math, I'm putting her on Khan Institute. Baby, you can't play Nintendo when you get home. You gotta, because you were not getting social studies, and I saw that all day at work. So now we're going to fix this so that you're getting your social studies, you're getting your math. Yeah. So I'm augmenting the teacher in their job, because again, they're assisting me in educating my child.
Right.
And that's really the way that, if we as a nation looked at the educational institutions that are out here, I think they'll work a lot better, and that cloud-based systems will allow me to play a bigger part, because I don't have to wait until the teacher sends me a piece of paper to see where my child is at and his or her educational progress.
Yeah. Now, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware that was happening right now. You said that's the EAA, huh?
Yeah, the Educational Achievement Authority.
And
okay. That's something that they're doing right now.
Wow.
But and they're not alone in that. A lot of school districts and schools are going to what's called a one-to-one model, where they're giving students devices, be it tablets, be it netbooks, be it laptops, whatever the case may be, that they use to deliver educational content. So that's one major change I can see now. How it impacts the teacher, I don't necessarily foresee, and mind you, I'm not an educator. My mother was one, so I watched my mother educate students and educate me for, majority of my life. And but I'm not an educator by trade. But still, I don't foresee technology pretty much eliminating the role
taking
of
the place of
teachers, because you still need classroom management. Students aren't just going to veg out in front of the screen and not be children. Children are going to be children. They're going to want to run around. They're going to want to expend the energy that God has given them. So you're still going to need a teacher in the classroom that's going to manage the class, the student. Now, does the student have to be in the classroom? That would be the argument.
That was going to be another question. Yeah.
And now that may be that maybe the student doesn't have to be in the classroom. The student can stay home and just log in, and as long as they're meeting certain metrics. But again, that kind of takes away the social interaction. Right. So that's going to be a delicate two-step. But what we do know is that some people just do a better job of educating students than other people. Some people are more engaging. And a prediction I kind of make, I don't know how true this will be or not, but I think it's going to happen, is that you're going to have a whole brand of product out there called edutainment, where you're going to have somebody who is just more engaging the children than other people. Yeah. And that person has, through a cloud-based educational delivery system or network, can engage several kids. So this person, him or her, they can engage thousands of kids, where traditionally they may have only been able to engage 30 students at a time. Right. And that person can be delivered to multiple schools via the cloud with two-way real-time feedback.
That? Yeah.
So I could kind of see something like that emerging, where this lady, she just gets it. Would love her. They love the way she talked. They love, and it wouldn't be the kids just watching her on TV, because that's not new. The difference would be that they would be able to watch her, and then she would also be able to watch them and be part of their, part of the learning process on a two-way conversation. So, I can kind of see something like that happening. So, there's a lot of things that I can see emerging out of this, but, the educators are passionate, brilliant people, and a lot of cutting-edge stuff is happening right now in education.
That's really exciting. Now, as far as what they're implementing right now, is that something that they're going to be launching, or do they have a date where they feel that this technology will be ready? Like within Michigan, I know you said like some districts are using some aspect of that, but do you foresee, or do you know whether this is something that will be mandated within a certain time frame? Are they looking at a certain date where they'll have a certain amount of clusters or districts already tooled, and ramped up for this?
Well, the Educational Achievement Authority, they're already off the ground. Okay. So that's already up and running, and if you follow Detroit Politics and Detroit News. They're already out here. They're already out here, and they're already doing that, and they're doing a good job at it. So that's already up and off the ground.
Okay.
Something that again, Governor Snyder falls, it supports 100%, and a charge that Dr. Covington has taken up in his team. They've already started at the beginning of this school year. So that's something they're already doing. In terms of other educational paradigm shifts, that's kind of sporadically happening all over the country. And there's some great footage out there if you want to start looking at things like the Khan Institute, and start looking at one-to-one and one particular product that isn't necessarily geared solely to education, but it lends itself well to an educational one-to-one student learning initiative, is the Google Chromebook.
Right.
It's a device that if you're an educator right now and you're listening to this and you've tried to use the lab, you're probably met a certain level of frustration because you're trying to manage these kids and get onto traditional PCs or laptops, and the boot time alone,
right,
1 or 2 minutes, with a kid that it's hard enough to get them to focus on something, let alone if you run into some technical glitches. So you have to calm the class down, you have to get the computers working.
Right.
That may eat up half of your lab time, and that's on a good scenario. Sometimes the lab is just unusable because the viruses or the content filters aren't in place.
Right. I've experienced that.
Yeah, so you've experienced that. So with the Google Chromebook, it's totally managed centrally. It boots in 8 seconds every time. It doesn't slow down. I've been using the Chromebook for well over a year now. Has not slowed down once. And so that kind of changes the whole acceptance of that teachers have, especially teachers that weren't raised in this technological era. So you have a lot of teachers that, when they came into the educational space, computers weren't as pervasive or prevalent as they are now. So they have to, kind of, be brought up to speed, and it's a whole lot easier if you have a device that works. So
right.
It's some things that are, are changing, that are here and coming down the pipe, and I think that it's going to make a big impact to education.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. Well, you know what? This has been a really, really informative session. Like I said, this gentleman has so much information to share, so much knowledge. We can do this all day long, and I'd love to have him stay and talk some more. I do have another guest that's going to be joining us here in just a moment. I told you he's another brilliant gentleman. We're going to take another 1-minute break. And we're going to bring them in, but thank you for tuning in. And I'd like to thank you, too, for joining us today, Rich. Yeah, it was a pleasure. that I have this esteemed guest, another colleague of mine, Mr. Chris Archer. I apologize that we're not going to have as much time with Chris today. Again, this is another well-polished, knowledgeable gentleman. He's got a lot to share too, but he was kind enough to come in today, so we're going to, ask him a few questions and talk a little bit about his expertise, what he does, and again, this is another ItsWebTV.Com employee. I mean, it's not that these are my only friends. I do have more friends and more colleagues. It's just that I know these guys personally. I wanted to make sure they had an opportunity to get on the show and share their expertise and introduce themselves to the public. So again, Chris, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, especially on such short notice. So again, I did mention that you work for ItsWebTV.Com. I know you've got a plethora of expertise. Tell me a little bit about what you do for them.
I handle really their motion graphics, their marketing. I put together videos and short promos, intros and outros.
Yeah, I saw some of your work earlier. Oh man, this guy's we're gonna have to have him on the show again. He will be on the show.
Thank you.
And once he comes on the show, and this program is evolving. So the next time that you see us, we'll have some other fun things for you on the on your screen, so you'll be able to take part of that. And when we have him on again, all this stuff will be ready to go, and it'll be lovely. You'll be able to see some of his work. But you're into graphic design. You were saying that you create videos, and what else?
When I say motion graphics, instead of nowadays you don't have to have all the actors and people. You can use the graphics and make a move in a way where it does the acting for you. So it cut costs, especially for smaller companies that want to have a big professional corporate look.
Okay.
I mean, you can definitely get away with some of these intros and outros that will make you come across as a Fortune 500 company,
right,
for startup business money.
Yeah, and I would imagine that is there a huge cost to this now, or has it gotten so evolved that there's not a lot of expense that goes into creating these types of videos?
It's interesting the way technology works, because with the web, I mean, as long as you know where everything is, it's cost friendly. It's not going to cost you a lot. It's just a matter of knowing where to get your resources from, and that knowledge alone will give you the edge, so you won't have to pay the big bucks.
Right. We were talking right before we came on, and we were pretty much, well, actually, Rich and I, of course, you heard our conversation. We were talking about the schools and technology, and we were talking about where it's going, and I know you had some things to share. So let's do this, because we do have to wrap up. Will you join us again and share some of that knowledge?
I'll be back. I will certainly be back.
Okay, man. Well, good. I really appreciate you coming in last minute. Yeah, and we'll have him again. I do apologize. We were gone and we got in depth in this conversation. So Chris promised he's going to be back, folks. So tune in again every Saturday, 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ItsWebTV.com. This is the Technology Zone you've been watching. And again, if you want to call in, of course, we're closing out, but write this number down, 248-996-8954. And if you want to watch these previous shows, you can go on to www.ItsWebTV.com. Click the information tab and you'll see the Technology Zone logo. Click that and you'll see the previous shows. This is our on-demand feature. Okay, folks, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Tune in again next week between 1 and 2, and we'll see you then. Take care.